Alright, so today I want to talk to you about lawn care equipment. Over the years I've gathered a lot of equipment and tools, and today I thought I would go through them, especially since Black Friday is coming up and it's the end of the season. So for 2022 a lot of brands might be coming up with new products, improved products, so they might want to sell off the older ones for a better price. So I kind of wanted to show you what I use for lawn care, and I'm actually going to do it by dividing everything I have into 3 different groups. So the first group is kind of what I would say is essential to lawn care. This is the minimum you need to be able to take care of a decent lawn. And then the second group is kind of the nice to have things. They're not really essential to lawn care. They might save you a lot of time, it might make things easier, but I wouldn't say these are 100% essential to lawn care. And then we have the third group, which is just pure luxury items. Nothing in that third group is necessary for lawn care. It's just for time saving, or maybe it's making things easier. So for the stuff to be in the third luxury group, they kind of have to be very hard to justify the cost for. All right, so let's have a look at all the tools I have. All right, so these are all the tools I have for lawn care. I've gathered these over a couple of years. Just by looking at it, it's safe to say you don't really need all this stuff to be able to have a decent lawn. And I guess you could say every time I buy a new thing, I'm one step closer to a divorce, depending on how much the thing costs. All right, so as you can see, I've gathered a lot of stuff during the years, and I keep adding to it. And hopefully this overview of all the things I have will kind of help you decide what you might need or not need. All right, so let's just start dividing them into different groups. So I'm going to start with the first group. All right, so I'm done with the first group, and this is, according to me, kind of a minimum requirement to have a decent lawn. You of course need a wheelbarrow and a shovel to get top dressing or sand out. You need a couple of different rakes, one plastic for kind of taking off debris, leaves or anything like that, and then I would have a metal rake just to cultivate the soil if ever you need it. And then I also have a brush here, so whenever you need to brush in seeds or when you're doing some leveling, just a cheap simple brush. I've also added the garden roller. So I mean, the garden roller, when you need that good seed to soil contact, is really needed. Now this one is spiked. You can take off the spikes if you want, so it can aerate your lawn. That isn't necessary, but I would say a decent garden roller is actually needed. And then I would say a drop spreader or a handheld manual spreader is needed to get seeds or fertilizer out. And this is kind of the cheapest versions there are, so these are really cheap. And I mean, I guess you could argue that the cheapest is most essential way would be to just spread with your hands. But I mean, to me, to get a decent good spread with fertilizer or seeds, you need some kind of spreader. And I've also actually added the push lawnmower here. I was actually thinking of not including lawnmowers because I mean, there's so many different types and they vary so much in cost and what they do. But I mean, again, this is the most simple and essential way of cutting your lawn. It's a manual push reel mower. So I would say bare minimum you need at least one of these to get a decent cut. And I almost forgot, you need a handheld pump sprayer. If you ever need to spray iron or fertilizer or glyphosate or anything, you need some kind of sprayer. It's just a manual pumped hand sprayer, 5 liters, so just about 1.3 gallons. Now, depending on what size of lawn you have, you might go for a bigger one, but this is pretty much the easiest, most simplest way of actually spraying things on your lawn. All right, so I would say these things behind me are bare minimum what you can get away with if you want a decent lawn. It's easily the cheapest things I have, and it's pretty much what I started off with. Now, maybe you don't agree with me, so it would be kind of interesting to see what you guys think. So drop me a comment below what you think, if you would add anything to this or take away anything, or maybe if you would have had a different thought process. So drop me a comment below and give me your thoughts on this. And while you're down there, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos or future opportunities to say that I'm wrong. That's always fun. All right, now let's move on to the second group, the nice to have things. All right, so these are basically what I would say are the nice to have things. So you have the scarifier or dethatcher, and this is basically just a Sunjoe or Greenworks dethatcher. It's a lot of plastic, it's for homeowner use, so it's not that expensive, but still, I would say you don't really need it. It's not essential. My parents had an okay lawn and they never scarified once in their lives. And then you have these things, and this is basically just an upgrade. So this is just a decent sized rake, a brush and an edging tool, and you can exchange all of the attachments with the same handle. It's a Gardena system. This is basically to fulfill the same need but just upgraded stuff pretty much. So I wouldn't say it's essential. You can just do with the cheaper ones I had. After a while I upgraded to this system instead. And then we have this thing, which is basically a handheld spreader but just not manual. It's battery driven, and I would say if you have a bigger lawn than the 2,000 square feet I have, then you might exchange this for a broadcast spreader. And then we have the backpack sprayer, and this is a manual backpack sprayer, so not a battery driven one. If you don't have that big of a lawn, then a manual just pump sprayer would be just as good. And then I have these two manual aerators. I was kind of struggling to put the Swordman aerator here because it costs so much, but then again the Draper one that costs about $30, so about 28 euros, and this one costs about $170, so about 170 euros. There's a huge price difference. But then again, if you haven't seen my review of these two, I'll put a link to that one. In that review you can see that this one actually doesn't work. I haven't gotten it to work yet, at least, so that's why I put this one here. Manually aerating your lawn isn't essential to lawn care, pretty much, I would say, but it's nice to have. All right, so this was the nice to have group. So I would say none of this is actually essential to lawn care. So even though you don't actually absolutely have to have any of this, if you want a better lawn, if you want to up your lawn care game, it will save you time, it will make it easier to take care of the lawn. Now let's move on to the final group, the luxury items, and after that I'm gonna give you my opinion. If I were out looking for something to buy during Black Friday sales or something like that, I'm gonna give you my opinion, what I will choose from all of this. All right, so this is the third group, and as you can see, I don't have a lot in it. I usually tend to kind of keep away from the luxury items because, I mean, I want to do lawn care with simple basic stuff pretty much. So I have the Gardena leaf and grass collector here, which is absolutely not necessary for lawn care. This is just for people who are like me and don't like raking, or if you have a big lawn and you have a lot of leaves, this will make your life a lot easier to not have to rake manually everything, but this is by no means necessary for lawn care. And then you have the leveling rake, and I actually kind of struggled if this would be in the nice to have group or in this group, but I figured that if you want to get one of these, you should buy one that is of good quality, and a good quality leveling rake actually costs a lot. And considering the cost and the fact that you can use just a normal wooden pallet, or I think it's even called a skid. Is it called a skid? Well, I'll say wooden pallet. A wooden pallet mostly is free, and if you turn it over and put some weight on it, then you can use this for leveling purposes. Maybe you can't do the fine tuning that you can do with a leveling rake, but again, considering the cost difference, nothing, and about $170 or $180, then I would say you don't really need that. It's not essential to lawn care, and it's not essential to lawn care that you have a perfectly leveled lawn. So you can get a really nice lawn with all the other stuff from group 1 and 2 without ever leveling it. All right, so that's all the stuff I have for lawn care or use for lawn care. As I said, I mostly started off with all the things in group 1, the essential things, and I mean, after a while when you kind of get into lawn care, you start upgrading things, so you get a better backpack sprayer, you get a mechanical spreader instead of a handheld one. So I guess that's usually how it goes. You just keep upgrading one thing after another, depending on your budget. If you have infinite budget, just buy everything in all groups. It's always fun to buy stuff. And it's also a matter of space. I mean, you don't have all the space in the world in your sheds, so you kind of have to be careful what you buy and maybe not buy things you don't really need or use. And as I said, Black Friday is coming up, so if you're looking to add to your lawn care equipment, my suggestion would be a backpack sprayer. I think this thing is awesome. It saves a lot of time and it actually makes spraying stuff on the lawn so much more fun. I mean, honestly, since I got that thing, I'm pretty much always looking for an excuse to spray things on the lawn because it's just so much fun. I love kind of mixing up sea kelp, humic acids, iron, whatever. Every excuse I can find to kind of use the backpack sprayer. It's just so much fun. The second thing I would say, if you already have a backpack sprayer, I would say a scarifier for homeowner use is so valuable. To be able to scarify and power rake is actually also a lot of fun, except for picking up all the debris. So I would say those two things are what I would be on the lookout for, if you don't already have them, of course. And if you want to know the difference between power raking and scarifying, I did a comparison of the two in this video. I'll put a link to it, just to make sure you use the right attachment when you actually do power rake or scarify. All right, so that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I could give you some kind of insight into what kind of lawn care equipment you need or might not need. And I'll put links in the description based on the different groups for all the things I use, if you want to check it out, just to give you a list. And as I said, please leave me a comment below how you guys would structure this. Am I missing some kind of equipment here? Would you group something differently? Would you put something in the third group or the first group? I'm interested to see how you would do it. So leave me a comment and say what you think. So as always, I hope you enjoyed the video and found some value in it. And if you did, please make sure you give it a thumbs up and like, share, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. It does really mean a lot to me. And I'll see you in the next video. Man, I was excited and I had so much fun doing the video, but I mean, now I have to get everything back in the shed again. And I don't know if your sheds look as mine does, but it's precision work to get everything in and out of that place. There's not a lot of room left. Oh well, I had fun making the video at least.